Hey everybody, welcome to Just Nash Science Podcast. I'm Nick, and if you are watching us live on Twitch, thank you so much. If you're watching on YouTube, still, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it. If you want to watch us live, as we discussed this, you can find us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern and Saturdays at noon Eastern. Anyway, on to this week's topic. And earlier, we did a podcast episode with a good friend of mine and a fellow YouTuber and content creator. Her name is Amanda Hookum, and she hosts Hookum on Health. And we were talking about, health myths. That's our thing. We debunk different ridiculous myths and misconceptions we find online. And there are so many about health and fitness and nutrition that it's really hard to kind of keep up with what's real and what's not. So we got a professional. Amanda is a registered dietitian and certified personal trainer, so you know you're getting the best information. We were talking about a few different things. Firstly, how to avoid fad diets. There are so many different types of fad diets or just harmful diets or things that just don't even work. So the first one, she was saying, if they give you extremely general or generic advice that can be applied to everybody, to be wary of that. Now, there are some general guidelines that people should follow, but if you watch a video that says, hey, do these 4 exercises every day and you're going to be guaranteed a six-pack, that's just wrong, right? And as Amanda was telling us, everybody is built differently. Some people might not ever have that action hero body simply based on genetics. Other people, it would be much easier. One of the other things that people cite all the time is metabolism. People say, oh, well, that person can eat whatever they want. They can do whatever because they have a really fast metabolism. And the word metabolism is used so incorrectly. And what metabolism really means in a biological or physiological context is just all of the chemical reactions that occur within your body. That's your metabolism. And metabolism is broken down into 2 different components. You have anabolism and catabolism. So anytime you hear anabolics, you think steroids, but anabolic just means to build, right? To build, in the case of steroids, muscle. Catabolism, on the other hand, is the opposite. It's the breakdown. So people talk about, having a really fast metabolism. They can break down foods that they have a really high catabolic rate or whatever. But it's not really the case. Amanda talks about basal metabolic rate and all these kind of things. She's much more educated about it than I am. So if you want to hear that explanation in a little more detail, I encourage you to check out the full podcast episode. But another thing that we talked about was, I mentioned celery. People love to cite celery as this great food to eat because it has negative calories. Right? This idea that eating it, just by eating the celery, you are going to lose or burn calories because celery is all water. And Amanda informed us that that actually is the case for all foods. Eating and digesting foods actually takes a fair amount of calories. Now, this doesn't mean, because I'm burning calories, I can just eat cupcakes and cookies all day. No, that's one of those general kind of guidelines that we would follow when we talk about living a healthy lifestyle. We hit up superfoods. The idea of superfoods, there are some foods that are very nutrient dense, nutrient rich, and that's great, and you should eat them if you enjoy them. However, the fact that some foods are magical and you must consume these before, otherwise you're going to die or something ridiculous is false. That is just incredibly good marketing by the food industry or the people who grow these foods or sell them, whatever role they play in the actual agricultural selling of these foods. It's just incredibly good marketing. And superfood sounds really good. Like it sounds like, these are like ancient foods that our ancestors used to eat. Our ancestors used to, and I swear to God, find mummies, grind them up, and snort them because they thought it had healing or magical properties and stuff. So just because people did it in the past does not mean we should continue to do it now. And the last thing that we touched on, or at least the last thing I'm going to touch on in this little pre-show, is non-GMO and organic foods. Organic does not mean there are no chemicals. Organic foods can actually still use pesticides, and they do. Organic also doesn't mean that somehow it became healthier or there's more nutrients involved. A strawberry that's grown in conventional methods and a strawberry that is organically grown, they're the same. Just one uses maybe slightly different chemicals. And also, the idea that foods have chemicals to begin with is not a bad thing. Chemicals exist in everything. Strawberries have chemicals inside of them, whether they're grown organically, whether they're grown conventionally, whether they're made in a lab, or whatever crazy thing, processing. There's chemicals in everything. All chemicals are just the names of whatever compounds or molecules exist in a food or in nature. So obviously, they're going to have a name. Whatever the component that gives the strawberry its red color, the component that gives it its sweetness or something its tartness, those are all chemicals. Those all have chemical names. And if you list them out, it could be unsettling to say, holy shit, look at all the different chemicals that are in my food. But really, they're naturally occurring chemicals that exist and are there as part of the fruit's natural existence. I've said the word natural way too many times. But it's important because people are like, if you can't read everything on the label, you shouldn't be eating. And that's a load of crap, right? There are plenty of things that you may not be able to pronounce or don't recognize that are so safe to consume and that you have nothing to be scared of. I do not like that narrative. If you can't pronounce it, if you don't have it in your kitchen, then you shouldn't be consuming it. That is just playing on your emotions, the idea that you don't know what it is, and therefore you should be afraid of it. I don't like that. Don't follow that. If people are telling you to do that, there may be some ulterior motive. I can't tell you the number of people who like, don't consume chemicals, don't buy these products because they have chemicals in it. Buy my products, which have chemicals in them. It's a load of hypocrisy, and people often fail to talk about like, organic foods, they don't have pesticides, and we mentioned before that they actually do. But even the ones that are grown conventionally that do have pesticides and other herbicides and things like that, they are rigorously tested, and the chemicals that are being used have to be beneath a particular level that is established to be safe. And for example, I think it was strawberries or something like that. I don't remember the exact fruit, but pesticides in an organic crop had 0.3 nanograms of whatever pesticide it was, and the conventional had 0.8 nanograms of the same chemical. It's not a difference at all. And yes, before somebody comes out and say, well, hormones run on nanogram scale, and their small concentration produces enormous effects, and that's true, but these aren't hormones. So the scale is very, very low, and I don't really see much of a reason to be nervous or scared about any type of pesticides that are used in extremely low concentrations. So with all that said, if somebody's heavily pushing organic and all non-GMO and all this kind of stuff, ask yourself why. What are they trying to sell you? Something? Do they want you to subscribe to their channel or anything like that? Why are they so against it? And if they can't give you a good reason aside from it's not healthy, there's chemicals, then don't buy it, right? There's no reason to be fearful of all this kind of stuff. Anyway, that's going to do it for the pre-show. Thank you so much for hanging in there and watching. I really appreciate it. If you are watching live on Twitch, we're going to get into some Destiny 2. If you're watching this on YouTube, well, then, you want to continue the conversation live, then join us on our Twitch channel, or feel free to comment below, and we can continue the conversation there. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.